exit strategy, depending on your age and your circumstances, can be a lot of different things. You could sell your business, you could pass your business on to a family member or a friend, you could take your company public. There are just any number of things that you could do. But once you understand how I want to exit the business, you can then determine how long you want it to take for you to get to that exit. If you know what that exit is, you can then begin to say, okay, if, for instance, the exit was to take the company public, well then you can begin to articulate, in order for my company to be attractive to go public, our revenues have to be X, whatever that is. And again, you could say, I want this to happen in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever the case may be. Now you've articulated the exit, you can begin to work your way back. So if I know I want to sell my company in 10 years, I want to, go retire in the Riviera when I sell my company, and I need $100 million to be able to do that. And I figure by the time I sell my company, I may only own 50% of my company. Well, my company has to be worth $200 million for me to sell it and get half of, $200 million or the $100 million I need to live on the Riviera. So now if, in 10 years I'm trying to build a $200 million company, I can begin to work my way back year by year to figure out, how do I start if today, the company is generating zero in revenue, how much do I have to generate every single year to get to a point where 10 years from now, I have a company worth $200 million that I can sell and get $100 million for myself. So that's really how you build a company. It's understanding where you want to end and working your way back to the beginning so that you have a year-by-year plan to get where you need to go to get to that exit in 10 years or whatever that timeline is for you individually.
That was really concise, it was very articulate. I'm just gonna stop for 1 second. So it's fascinating that's like a point that you kind of hone in on. So all of the creative business development that I've done for single person employees or companies up to companies that have, like 30 or 40 employees.
Right.
And especially for friends of mine who are starting small businesses, who are entrepreneurs, who are just kind of beginning that journey,
Right.
Specifically with people in the creative industry, the big question is, how do I price?
Right.
How do I price my product? How do I price my service? Well, everyone around me that's doing it is pricing it at this price point or that price point, so I'm not really sure where I fall. And then people start comparing themselves, and then I've gone down that road too.
Right.
It becomes a mess.
Yeah.
It's just like information spaghetti.
Right.
It's all tangled. And so after reading a lot of articles and following different blogs, it's all about reverse engineering.
Mm-hmm.
So to start from really like a short-term version of that is to think, okay, what are your monthly expenses?
Right.
And then what do you want to make?
Mm-hmm.
What is your goal? What is a number annually that you would feel good about? Sometimes people can't even think that far.
Right.
And this is like really, really small scale.
Right.
So then it's like, okay, what would you like to make monthly?
Right.
So take all your expenses and take what you need to make monthly, okay? And then work backwards.
Right.
So if you want to make $5,000 a month,
Yeah.
and your expenses are $3,000 a
Right.
month. So what you should be aiming for is maybe more around like $8,000 a month.
Exactly.
So what do you need to do to hit that number? How many photo shoots do you need to book? How much do you need to charge per photo shoot?
Right.
And then you factor in, equipment costs. You factor in having some cushion,
Right.
factor in travel, all of that stuff. And it's really, it's much easier to arrive at a number if you reverse engineer it than if you just go straight, well, I don't know how much to charge for a photo shoot.
Right.
I already bought the camera. It's, I have a friend who who makes these craft glasses, and they're really beautiful.
Right.
But she's like, well, the materials don't cost me very much.
Right.
So I don't feel like I should be charging that much. Well, I was like, well, if you only charge $50 for each of these, and your goal is to say make 10,000, you're never going to get to that goal because of how long it takes you to make each one of those.
Right.
So you need to actually value yourself. You need to factor in the time that it takes for you to complete this service.
Right.
And it's much easier, like you said, if you reverse engineer it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, too many people don't think in that direction.
Right.
They
Right.
think it's linear. It has to go from the beginning to the end.
Right.
But really, it's taking a look at the entire picture as it is.
Well, part of why people struggle with pricing is incredibly complex. You know, virtually everything related to business is very complex. And there are people who specialize just in pricing, right? So there's a science, and then anything you do can be elevated to an art form. So there's a science associated with pricing where, just the way you described it, you can look at what does it cost me to do all the different things associated with, you know, creating this product or service. That ultimately, with profit margin, gets me a price. That's the scientific way to look at pricing. But then you've also got to factor in, you know, how much demand is there for your product or service. That could allow you to price higher or lower than, you know, that science led you up to, and that's where you begin to elevate to an art form, when you begin to understand, when you can articulate to your audience what value you offer, and then can get them to buy because of that value, you know. That's when you can begin to, you know, again, you start to elevate to an art form, and you can begin to price where it doesn't make sense, you know. And then there's also, you know, looking at the market, you know, what are other people pricing their products or services, you know, similar products and services, that comes into the equation as well. That's, again, more of the science than the art form, but you know, pricing is incredibly complex. So, you know, that's why people struggle with that, and it's why they struggle with all aspects of business. But, you know, the bottom line with business is there are successful businesses out there. If you study successful businesses, they share common traits. If you infuse those common traits in any business, you maximize the probability that your business will succeed, you know.
Absolutely.
And make it very difficult for you to fail, you know. But enough people don't take the time to do that.
And I think to even to even expand on this point of value and like understanding what your value is within the market,
Right.
and not allowing, so if you're approaching pricing from that scientific standpoint of, well, this is how much it costs, this is how much the materials cost, or this is how much the rent for the space costs, or this is how much it's going to cost me to hire these people, and this is, you know, it's going to take me